Hello friends, welcome to the shop. My name is Aaron. We're here on about an acre just outside of Hood River, Oregon in the orchards. This is our 1,200 square foot wood shop, and I'm going to show you around a little bit. We bought this in September. It is now February 2017, and this is a multi-use space for us. Currently, we're working on our Beansprout musical instruments here, but also we're still working for Mya-Moe. So we kind of have dual use going on. This part of the shop is all things that we do that aren't dirty. So there aren't really machines in here or anything. And if we start along this wall, this is Nicole's bench where she does frets and bridges and string sets for Mya-Moe and other things. That's her workspace. And as we walk down this wall, we get into the part where I do setups, stringing, repair, and finish work on Mya-Moe's and Beansprouts. My little setup bench, and you can see we've got a couple instruments on the wall. And as we go farther down, we come to a space that we use for lots of different things. We rehearse in here. We have we can shoot audio, video, and photography in this for the instruments or for our teaching. We also can teach a little workshop or a class in here too. There's space for that. Along this wall, we've got Henry's workbench, because he's got to stay busy out here too when we're trying to get some things done. And my little collection of my grandmother's and her friends' paintings from the 60s. Little office space, and a space that we can do our photography for our instruments. And yeah, let's show the new logo sign that Nicole painted. And we can go into the rest of the shop. So this is 2/3 of our space. When we got this place, this was just a big metal building with a cement slab, and it didn't have windows. It wasn't chopped up like this, and it needed a lot of work. So we spent all fall and most of the winter getting that ready. We framed it, insulated it, electrical, windows, doors, paneling, lights, all this stuff. Along this wall, we've got some wood storage, and then I've got my glue-up assembly table and my traditional woodworking bench next to it. So this bench I made from plans from a woodworker named Jay Bates. Found them online, and it's a traditional old-style hand woodworking bench, and I made the whole thing out of ripping Douglas fir 2x10s in half. It's heavy and sturdy, and it's got my vices and bench dogs and all that, so I can do traditional hand woodworking here. So this is kind of where, this is where the handwork gets done. The rest of the shop is set up to do our power tools in. 90% of the machines in the shop are American-made machines from the 1940s to the 1960s. I prefer those machines because they're made of cast iron and steel and good parts, and they work better than what you could get at a Home Depot or whatever right now. If you go to Home Depot and you buy a table saw, it's going to be mostly plastic, and it's going to be made in China, and it's made to break down and ship overseas. These instruments these tools are the opposite approach. And I like that. So I've spent the last year and a half kind of learning how to restore and maintain these machines, and it's been fun for me. And I just like the big heavy machines. So the center of the shop, of course, is the table saw. And this is a 60s Powermatic that's been fun. I picked that up in Portland at a plastics manufacturing company. And actually from this location, we can see most of the rest of the tools. To our right here, we've got our little Delta jointer, and behind it is our little Delta bandsaw. Although those are pretty small machines, I don't make big things, so it's been plenty so far. And against the wall over here, we can start going down the wall. We've got our radial arm saw for crosscuts, also an old Delta. And we've got my thickness planer next to it. This I bought from an old longshoreman in Olympia. A couple of drill presses, and that brings us to the dust collection system. Even though this room is the one where it's okay to be dusty, we want to try to collect all the dust and shavings. So I have a modern dust collector that I've rigged up to a piping system that go to each machine, and the machines have individual gates on them to open up when you use that machine. I bought most of the parts for the dust collector at the Rebuild It Center or the thrift store or the salvage them or whatever, so it's a little bit of a Rube Goldberg situation, but it works really good. And it's my first time setting up one of these, so I'm pretty pleased with it. Before we look at the rest of the machines, we've got another bump out building room on here that I use for a catch-all for all kinds of stuff. There's wood slabs stored in here, a grinder and a sharpening station for the tools, and then space to work on motors and machines as needed, and then just catch-all storage of electrical equipment and whatever else we need. And we can go down this wall now. We've got some sanders. We've got an old Newton Edge sander, which works great for making parts for musical instruments. And the modern overhead sander that we use for thicknessing plates for ukuleles and for making fingerboards and stuff for instruments. That's an important tool. And then this is where we do all the routing and sanding. So I've got a little downdraft table to catch all the wood chips and the dust when we sand and route. And another little old sander right there on the way out. Here you can see, contrary to the big wood slabs, these are mainly instrument parts that have already been broken down into smaller bits and pieces. And they're ready to become instruments, banjos and ukuleles. 90% of the wood we use is North American wood, a lot of it from the Pacific Northwest. So walnut, maple, myrtle, pistachio, Porterford cedar, red cedar, spruce, that sort of thing. Yeah, we're really pleased with the space, and I hope you enjoyed the tour.